Friday, December the 22nd. A couple days late with my fishing report. But the lake level is right about 9-11 and a half. They've had steady generation going for 2 or 3 weeks, so it's been dropping quite a little bit. The water temperature is also dropping quite a bit. I was out the day before yesterday, and it was like 52 to 53 degrees, and I was in the mid-James area around Ants Creek and up around Baxter a little bit. But the fishing, the jerkbait and crankbait bite, as it's gotten colder, it's gotten a little bit better. The deep bite, there's just absolutely tons of shad in the creeks. Anywhere from the mouths all the way back to where it gets to about 40-45 feet. There's actually been quite a few fish. One day they'll be real high in the bait, you'll see them 15-20 foot, and the fish have actually been out, chasing a little bit, but they've been pretty fusty to catch on a topwater. But I've been able to catch them on a little swim bait, a little 2.8 Kitech or a 4-inch grub when they're real high in the water column like that. Just trying to figure out how deep they are and counting it down about 10 to 15 feet and swimming it through them. Some days the bait's down over the tops of the trees in the center of them creeks, and I'm having a vertical fishing with either an ice fishing jig, white jig and spoon, or that same little swim bait, just vertical fishing. But a little 4-inch smoke or salt and pepper grub will work as well. A drop shot will work. But the deep bite has been kind of inconsistent for me, so I've been keying a little bit more on the shallow fish. And what I've been catching them on is jerk baits, and I'm throwing mega bass and the mixed stick, the Spro mixed stick. Throw different colors. Usually when the sun is shining, I like a bait that's got almost like a translucent, quite a little bit of flash to it. This is one with a Spro with a black back, blue sides. Here's a similar one in the Mega Bass, kind of a purple. Now both baits will get down about the same depth. They got a little bit different actions and sound, so I usually just kind of mix it up to see which one's working best for me. Cloudy days, I'll go more of a solid color. Depends on the water color. The water's got some stain in it, like the James has got a little bit. I'll use almost like a bone or a white. Sometimes I'll use a black and a gold as well. But these fish have been on secondary points, some main lake points. The main thing right now with the lake dropping like it is, it's really exposing a lot of the cedar trees that normally, when it used to get down this low in the wintertime, a lot of them key cedar trees are starting to pop up. And what you want to do is get it beside them cedars, and I'm not letting it set a real long time. I'm covering quite a bit of water. I'm just trying to key in on specific spots where these cedars are coming up on the sides of the point. Some of them are on the points. And once I get a bite or two to have the fish tell me where they are and how they want the bait, then I'll just kind of run around and try to go to other areas like the one I just got bit on. But the majority of these fish have been largemouth, and I'm also mixing it up with crankbait in kind of the same areas where there's no timber. And the crankbaits I've been throwing wiggle warts, rock crawler, Spro, and then this Profound Outdoors, which is kind of a knockoff of the wiggle wart. It's got tungsten rattle in it. The bait runs real good. You never have to adjust it. Wiggle wart and rock crawler. The rock crawler that's been working good for me is this kind of a red crawl with a green back that's been working real well. Rock crawler will get down a little bit deeper than the wiggle wart or the Profound Outdoors one, but the old wiggle wart's still pretty hard to beat. And these have been on, like I say, mainly on points or about 100 feet each side of the point. Windy day definitely makes it a little bit better. There's actually been a few spinnerbait fish too. Just got to slow roll that bait. But not going to get as many bites on the jerkbait and crankbait, but it's definitely more quality. Most of them, like I said, have been largemouths with a few smallmouths. Most of them I've been catching out deep has been Kentucky bass, and I got to catch several several short fish to get a keeper. And a lot of it's, timing. Sometimes you'll get to a spot where you can get the fish fired up and you can catch multiple fish in a short amount of time. But my last couple times out, I've had to do more searching and pecking, one here and one there. And it kind of depends what I'm trying to accomplish that day. If I'm trying to get numbers of fish, I'll stay out there deep and keep fiddling with them. If I'm just out playing, by myself, or somebody wants to catch some quality fish, then I'm just, keying in shallow and trying to get them better fish. Now, Sportsman Factory Outlet is their Black Friday sale they had from Thanksgiving is still continuing to the first of the year. So if you're out shopping with your wife or so the day after Christmas, they will be open over there. They still got all kinds of awesome deals on different product, getting ready for inventory for next year. So if you get a chance, stop by and check them out. I'm going to get into a little bit of my question and answer session now. See, this is from Tom. It says, I fish Table Rock about every other month and seem to catch numbers of Kentuckys and smallmouth using drop shot, spoon, Ned rig, etc. But these fish are typically small in size. I can't seem to put together a consistent pattern for larger fish or largemouth. Can you provide some tips in general areas on the lake to target more largemouth? Yeah, I can. One of the first things you're going to have to get into your mind, if you're keying on quality fish, you're not going to get a lot of bites. So that's one of the first thing you got to get into your head. That a lot of times a guy will fish for a couple hours and get impatient and go back to the smaller type finesse baits or something that you can just catch numbers of fish on. Now normally if I'm trying to catch quality fish, I'll very seldom try to fish out there vertical. I have caught some big largemouths on spoons and drop shot, but for the most part, everything I catch out there is going to be primarily Kentuckys. But like I say, every once in a while you will get into a good school of largemouths or smallmouths out there, but pretty much it's going to be spotted bass and smaller ones. And the same with the Ned rig. Ned rig will catch a lot of fish, but they're usually smaller in size. It's a good numbers bait. You can catch, I've caught 4 or 5 pounders on Ned rig, but not too many. And a lot of what kind of bait I'm going to pick up, it depends what time of year. Right now, if I'm wanting to catch quality fish, I'm going to fish a jerkbait, Alabama rig, or crankbait. Certain amount of fish stay shallow all their life. They don't go out there deep because the water gets down into the 40s. The only problem is you're not fishing for numbers, so you got to be patient. But the stick baits or jerk baits I just showed you are really good ones to try to fish with right now. And that's a pattern that'll be going on until March. But the best thing to do, the best thing that I found to do in order to learn how to fish a jerkbait, or is almost take everything out of the boat. Just take your jerkbaits and crankbaits with you. That way you don't get the temptation to throw other lures. Another one is areas of the lake. I feel that the wintertime and early spring, some of the biggest fish are caught in the clear water. Mid-lake to the dam to Baxter. I think that's a time of year that a lot of those big fish don't ever come up out of them deep trees, with the exception of this time of year and getting ready for the spawn. So I think the opportunity in the clearer water, especially throwing a jerkbait in Alabama rig, is a little bit better this time of year. Now when you get into the summertime, I think a lot of those fish just go so deep in them trees out there in the clear water that they can be hard to catch, and that's where, like, the river arms will produce a little bit better, especially after the spawn. I like to go up there with a big crankbait, football jig, and Carolina rig. But like I say, anytime you're fishing for numbers or size, you're definitely not fishing for numbers. Being a tournament fisherman, a lot of times all we're looking for is 5 or 6 bites a day. So it's kind of hard to get in that frame of mind where you can go out and catch sometimes 20, 30 Kentuckys a day, But there are a lot of big fish on Table Rock. You just got to have patience. And a lot of times just being lucky. I mean, you can catch a 7-pounder out there on a drop shot, but more than likely your chances are going to be better throwing a jerk bait, Alabama rig, or big swim bait this time of year. If I get time for another question. Okay, this is from Bud. He wants to know what kind of fishing line I use and when I use fluorocarbon versus mono. I use several different types of line, but I've been using a lot of Suffix line. They're 100% fluorocarbon, and they're Suffix Siege, which is mono. On just about all my topwater baits, I'll throw monofilament. I'll throw the Siege, usually 12 pounds. Drop shots, finesse stuff, I use a lot of monofilament so I don't get the twist in the line that you would get on a spinning reel from using fluorocarbon. Usually on my crankbaits, jerk baits, I usually always throw 10 pound, 100% fluorocarbon. Now I've had real good luck with the Suffix lines, and I also use some Sun line too. Now Sun's got, well, if I'm flipping, it's a FC Sniper. And actually what it is, about every 3 foot, it's a clear line, but it's got a foot of chartreuse, so that you can help see the bait in low light conditions. So when you're flipping, it's a key for me to be able to see my bait, my line twitch or move one way or the other. Sometimes I have trouble seeing the clear line, so this helps that out a bunch. And I also throw some of the FC Sniper, but I've been using more and more of the Suffix here of late. Now if I use any braided line, I really like this Suffix 832. This one here is it's a 5 pound diameter and it's 15 pound test. Now I'm not a real big braid guy on my spinning rods, but I do have several rods spooled up with it. A lot of times for my clients, some people like fishing with braid. I will use it on a drop shot, tie a leader on, and use a monofilament or fluorocarbon leader from the braid on for the drop shot. Also, if I fish a shaky head or something like that with it, I will also tie about an 8 to 10 foot leader, a fluorocarbon leader on it with like a surgeon's knot to connect the two together. But kind of rule of thumb is any of your top water baits, you want to use a monofilament that's got some stretch, and I even use monofilament quite a bit on my spinnerbait. A lot of times if I'm fishing baits deeper where I feel I need the feel and the sensitivity like a jig or a worm, a crankbait, that's when I like the fluorocarbon. But if I want something that's got a little bit more stretch, like with using light line with a drop shot, that 6 pound mono has got a lot more stretch than 6 pound fluoro, and I don't have to mess with the memory of the twist in the line. So keep the questions coming. Just go to my website, Hooked on Bass. My email address is on there. Email them to us, and we'll try to answer what we can. Till next week, good luck, good fishing.